Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arsaholics podcast on a Sunday night after a really good win against Watford today, which we're going to get into. I've got some Raj here. Obviously, I've got Mize and Aaron, and with me, we've got three of us. Hello, boys.
Good evening. Good evening.
You look really puzzled, Aaron, and like you're expecting to dial onto a different call or something.
It's been so long. I was like, what do I do? Like, I'm just really excited. I haven't been on for a good few weeks for various reasons, and I'm like, I just can't wait to be back. I've got a lot of thoughts that I'm ready to drop.
Well, I mean, okay, like we had an agenda and everything. Should we just forget? Should we just forget it?
Do you want to just? I can monologue for the next hour if you want on the state of the world if you want, but no, we'll stick to your agenda. We'll stick to your agenda.
What do you think we should do an Arsaholics off the cuff to just talk about, our like really subject matter expertise on Russia, Ukraine, kind of, like should we really do that, or maybe not? No. Anyway, so yeah, before we get into it, I did say last week, right? I was drinking whiskey, and I said I'd make that a feature of the pod, and I felt like a drink, so I just thought I'd do it anyway again this week. So I'm drinking, you see it, Michter's. It's a rye whiskey. I really like rye whiskey. I really recommend it to anyone. I think rye whiskey is a very underrated type
Is that what you've done tonight then, Roger?
What?
The bottle's empty.
No, I know, but it's a good observation. I do need to order a new one. But if anyone wants to,
Roger's this is not for sponsorship. Is gone to new levels here.
I know. That's such a dream. That'd be so awesome. But yeah, hey, one day we can all pray and hope. But I've been drinking for 4 days straight, as I told you guys. So, because obviously tomorrow I start my new job, so I've been unemployed for 4 weeks, and this has just been a very, very sad moment to have to go back to work. But it is what it is. It is what it is, right? We need to earn money because obviously this podcast doesn't pay us any money.
Definitely not.
Anyway, look, let's talk about football. Brilliant. Look, today it's like every weekend, every game week is super important at this stage of the season. I'm sure you guys agree with me. It's the sort of time of the season now where results are more important than anything. It's more important than performances. It's all about kind of, 3 points, however you get it. But we did win, and we won away from home against Watford, who we have a decent record against. They are a team that is fighting for relegation, but they're a team like, on their day, they can do interesting things. So look, there's quite a lot to talk about. There's obviously lots of goals today. Let's talk about our overall attacking kind of potential, I guess attacking output, what we did today, because it was 3 brilliant goals. I think from a team perspective, I can't remember us scoring this season 3 goals of that quality all in one game. And what did you guys think?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, I think that I'm trying not to get carried away, I think is the thing, because you see those goals and you're like, oh, this is it. I think Myers in the WhatsApp group, you're like, we're back. I
got a bit excited. I have to say, but, yeah.
I'm trying to like keep it calm and like go, as Mikhail says, like go game by game, But when you look at those goals, you're like, okay, I don't think. Again, I don't want to go back into like comparing us to like social media fans, but I don't think there's anyone that can now argue that we are not making progress under Mikel Arteta. Because those 3 goals were like, you can see there's a plan. You can see there's a way we try and attack. You can see there's quality both on an individual level and on a team level. And when it comes together like that with Saka, with Ødegaard, with Laca, with Martinelli, you can't not be impressed and you can't not be excited. Now, I think if you dig a bit deeper, I think I think our XG for the game was like less than 1 or something like that. So there was a lot of very, very high quality finishing. And outside of those 3 goals, I don't know how much more we created, but you can't not be excited when you score 3 goals like that.
Definitely. And I think the fact that those 3 goals were scored by 3 different players, the 3 that sit behind the striker, and the fact that the striker was so involved, I think in all 3, at least 2 of them, he was involved. If not, did he get 2 assists? Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
it was one of those. It was a real combined effort. Miles, did you think anyone out of that unit stood out, or is it a point where we need to just take a step back and just applaud the fact that it was a fantastic effort of a growing attacking unit?
Yeah, I mean, look, the player that stood out for me today, and I think I said it in our chat, was Ødegaard, and he stood out a lot in the last few games. I think the words I used were something along the lines of, he's basically controlling games and running games, and everything that we do kind of in the final third or going forward goes through him, I feel. So when you look at Ødegaard's stats and people use that against him, his numbers in terms of goals and assists are not amazing, even though he scored today. But when you watch him, as we do every game, you see how important he is to us. And he just really seems to be playing with like top confidence at the moment. He wants the ball. He's always looking to create something. He's always looking to make something happen. And I think the relationship he's now building with Saka, because he obviously drifts, he plays centrally, but he drifts more towards that right-hand side generally. So obviously links up a lot with Saka. Obviously, we saw that from the first goal. That's really kind of, reaching its peak, as it were. And it's really, really just got better over the last few games. And it just looks like he's really enjoying his football. Like, he settled so quickly from that loan spell, and he's just carried on from there. And like, he really, really stood out for me today. I just feel like he's developing into this. The talent was always there, the potential was always there from however many years ago it was, and now he's kind of doing it week in, week out for us, which is really, really good to see. He's basically made himself undroppable from the team. But yeah, look, I mean, I think all of the front four deserve a mention for all the reasons you guys have just talked about. The goals, there's 2 assists from Laca. And yeah, I mean, look, just to add to what you guys said, I think the thing I'm seeing now that we didn't probably see earlier on in the season is the attacking play and link up between these players. It seems like it's because we've had like a pretty settled kind of front four. Smith Rowe comes in and out, but other than that, it's a pretty settled front four. You can kind of see the link up play, and you can see the like anticipation where like Saka, like we saw it with the goals today. Saka will pass into Lacazette. Lacazette knows where Saka's going to run into. He flicks it or back kills it or does whatever. More often than not, it was coming off where Saka was landing on it. Happened again for the third goal with Martinelli, and that's really, really good to see. So obviously, the caveat there is one injury potentially affects that quite big, quite badly. But yeah, at the moment, the way things are going, really, really happy with the attacking side of things.
And with that one injury, we've sort of talked about squad depth, blah, 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 blah. But we have talked about the fact that in the kind of wide attacking areas, we have some options. But everything you've just said about Ødegaard, the fact that he is, his influence on the team has just grown and grown and grown over the past few weeks. I think, in my opinion, it feels like it's his team now. He's the one who's dictating everything. Has he now become the player that we would miss the most if he did get injured? Is he the irreplaceable unit there?
I mean, I think based on his current form, I wouldn't say he's irreplaceable. I think he'd be a massive miss if we didn't have him. But then you could argue Smith Rowe could potentially come in, although he doesn't. Like, he could probably do a fantastic job there. Style of play might have to change ever so slightly, but I feel like Smith Rowe could deputise. But I think on his current form, he'd be a huge miss. I think the bigger miss, arguably, might actually be Lacazette, just because of lack of other options in the squad, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, considering the quality of the other attacking players. But yeah, I think you go from Lacazette down to Nketiah. I think it's quite a big step down in terms of obviously experience. But I think, Lacazette offers everything that he offers, and, as we keep saying, he's giving 100%. And, now he's obviously, he didn't score today, and he's not smashing the goals in, obviously, but the work he's doing for the team, he's now kind of paying off in terms of assists as well. I'm not sure you necessarily get that from Eddie, who obviously Eddie would do a lot of running and, chasing down, all that kind of stuff. And he can finish, but I think for the way this front four is kind of shaping up to going into the end of this season and what we need to do for the next 13 games, I think it is. I think Lacazette's pretty pivotal in that, for me anyway.
Yeah, and Aaron, and do you think we've talked about what the good things that Laca brings? We've also talked about the things that he doesn't do quite so well. And we've talked about the fact that maybe this team, the big obvious thing that they lack is a centre forward who's going to score 20 plus goals. And Arteta even spoke about it recently, right? I think he was asked in the interview, I think yesterday, about the summer, and he mentioned that, you know, getting someone who's going to put the ball in the net is a very important thing. But with the role that Lacazette does do, is there any concern on your side that it's you know, the grass is always greener sort of thing, and actually do we have someone here who, given everything else he does, we should be concerned at the idea of losing someone who can bring such good outputs from the guys around him?
Yeah, I guess it's fear of the unknown, right? Because obviously this summer is going to be huge for us on so many levels, because Lacazette could be gone, Eddie could be gone, Balogun will hopefully be back, but that's it, and Aubameyang's already gone. So there's an argument to say we probably need at least 2 strikers coming in this summer. Yeah. So, I was just about to interrupt when you guys were talking about Lacazette to ask if you guys think he deserves a new contract now, or he obviously wants more than 1 year, but let's just say like 2 years was on the table. Would you give it? But I'm still leaning towards the no, because as much as I really like what Lacazette's doing right now, you can also quite clearly see where a top striker would add a lot more, because there were loads of times where Cedric was putting crosses in, and it was just pointless because no one was at the end of it. I think Kieran Tierney probably suffers a bit because he gets to the byline and he looks across and there's just no one in the box, and he's probably been told, there's probably not going to be anyone in the box, so don't play those crosses in. So that completely nullifies Tierney's game. So, but I do really, really like what Lacazette's doing right now. And I think, the way I think of it now, because I've never really been a big Lacazette fan, if I'm being completely honest. I remember, I think it might have been the Emery era when he was like really bad towards the end of the Emery's era. And I was just like, I was done with him. But, I kind of feel like since Aubameyang's left, he's almost found his place in the team, in that he's captain now, right? So he's doing that. And he's very clearly this, him and Xhaka are like the old guys in the squad that have to nurture these young players. And at the start of the season, it was like, we weren't sure if he was going to start. We weren't sure if he was a number 10. We weren't sure if he was a second striker. We weren't sure if he was the off the bench guy. And I think he's really benefiting from that clarity of, okay, I'm going to play. This is my role. I will drop deep. I will link up play. And then I'll do what I can to score goals, even though everyone seems to acknowledge that I'm not very good at scoring goals. But so, I you can't help like what he's doing at the moment, and I respect the shift he's putting in.
I think on your question about a new contract, so I think it's going to be really interesting, because for me, I think it comes down to where we finish in the table. And I think if we do get Champions League, it obviously changes the whole kind of dynamic of what we need from a squad next season. And I think Lacazette in a champion, so say we get Europa League, you can kind of, we've seen it, right? The 3 or 4 years we were in the Europa League, the first 6 games or the group games, you kind of go with a much more youthful team, your backup team, you blood some of the youngsters, all of that kind of thing. And we still managed to qualify from the group, and I think finished top every time. I can't remember. Champions League group stage is very, very different. So Lacazette is probably the kind of player that you would need in a Champions League squad with a Champions League budget as well. So I think it comes down to that potentially. And I think maybe that's why the decision hasn't been major. He's probably waiting to see what we do. And maybe if we do get top 4, it gives us the kind of financial ability to offer him a little bit more money, or maybe that 2 years, arguably. I mean, I would prefer him to stay, to be honest, because I still think we need, like probably 99% of Arsenal fans know that we need a striker, a proper striker. But, him as our backup option, if he's happy to play that role in our squad, I think that's a pretty good, pretty good option to have off the bench, or if our forwards are injured. So I'd absolutely want him to stay, but who knows what's going to happen with that.
I actually think that I'd probably go a step further. And I think that now that it looks like we would, it would be a catastrophe for us to not get some form of European football now this season. So I think given that's the case, it's likely that we're going to be, whether it's Champions League or Europa League we're going to have a lot of
Or
fixtures.
Conference League.
Or Conference League.
Yeah.
Or Conference. Yeah, we're going to have we're going to have those fixtures, so more fixtures, right? So that looks like it's an almost certainty now. In that, then therefore going to what you said before, Aaron, and we're going to be really short on numbers. And I think it's got to the point now where, given the value that he's kind of being able to bring in this role anyway, it all feels like it makes sense to offer him a 2-year deal. And I think that's been the sticking point. It feels like we've been offering him a year, and I think a year with a year option that, both parties would have to agree. I think he's saying he wants the security.
Yeah. I mean, a 2-year deal is not the worst, right? Because after a year, we could then get a reasonable fee for him if it's not working out next season.
We won't get a fee from his age, though. I think the age is the thing, isn't it?
I think it's the age and the wage that he'll probably be on this contract. I think that's probably the key. If he wants a 2-year deal at a lower salary, I think we'd probably give it to him. But he's probably one of our highest paid players now.
Yeah.
Because he came in on big money, and I think he probably wants an uplift on that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then you're looking at like 200k a week for someone like Lacazette is probably pushing it, right?
It is. I think one of the things that will be going through their head as well is how Balogun does on loan. And I sort of think about this the other day, right? Because we obviously have rated him. The club seem to rate him quite highly. The fans seem to rate him quite highly. And whenever he plays for the under-23s, he's just clearly too good for that level. At the same time, he's 20 years old, I think. He's the same age as Broja, who is on loan from Chelsea at Southampton, and Broja is scoring goals in the Premier League, and Balogun is on loan in the Championship and not necessarily banging them in. Look, I'm not saying that means that he's not a good player or anything, but I think maybe we do need to just kind of check ourselves a little bit about our expectations of him and his development. The club might think, is he someone that can be relied upon in the first team next season, particularly if it's Champions League that we're playing? And as a result of that, I think that just kind of increases the case for keeping Lacazette on more. And we'd still need to get a striker, or maybe even two anyway.
I still think we need two regardless, right?
Yeah.
I think even if you keep Lacazette, you get one more striker in and you're playing Champions League or Europa League. That's a stretch for me. I think we get two, and then depending on, I think it'll be either one of Balogun or Lacazette.
I think if we get Europa, I could see Balogun coming back because of the number of games and that kind of level. Lacazette, maybe he, like I said, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. If he wants to stay, it seems like if he wants to stay, there'll probably be an offer on the table. But then I think we'll still obviously go big for a striker. I think Champions League changes things where I'm not sure you go into a Champions League campaign. And obviously if you finish fourth in the league this season, you're now looking at pushing on to cement that place and hopefully push up the table. I'm not sure Balogun's the player that's going to do that as a sort of second choice. So then I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know how many minutes he's really going to get in the Champions League, being completely honest. So he might end up going out on loan again. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I don't think he scored for Borough yet. I'm pretty sure they said that when he came on against Spurs or when he played against Spurs.
I don't think so.
In like 10 games or something. So I think apparently he's playing all right. I think he's playing
looked all right. But...
goals is what he's going to be judged.
Also, it might be good for him to get a Premier League loan next year if he can. And if he can't get a Premier League loan next year, and that I think probably says something in itself about the fact that he needs some more time to develop. But anyway, so I'm sure we'll be talking about Lacazette more and more as the season goes on, and maybe there'll be some more clarity about his contract. But it sounded like it's something that they want to wait for the end of the season to figure out, and whatever that's the sound. But if we look at the other players, we talked about Ødegaard. Martinelli had an interesting game today, I thought, because I thought he was out of that unit was probably the one that was offering the least, and I was hoping that Pepe would come on sooner rather than later in the second half. But then he scored an absolute worldie as well, didn't he? I mean, is this a case where really, these are our best kind of supporting three now? Yeah. Is it really a case where even if Smith Rowe didn't have COVID, is he resigned to the bench when he comes back, do you think?
I think it depends where you play him and where, if you see Smith Rowe as, playing that Ødegaard role, you could say what's close to a 10, but it's not really a 10, but it's in that sort of area, then you put Ødegaard miles ahead. But Smith Rowe, the thing that's so good about him is he kind of just plays a bit like everywhere at the moment.
Yeah.
And you could say he's on the left, but he's not really he gives you something very different to what Martinelli gives you.
Yeah.
But the beauty of Martinelli is he can kind of do what he did today, and he offers something. He's a lot more direct in that sense.
Yeah.
And he probably occupies defenders in a very different way to something what Smith Rowe would do. So I don't think it's like one or the other in that sense. I do think between now and the end of the season, we'll rotate between Smith Rowe. I don't think Pepe will start. I think Pepe is probably a clear substitute. But no, I think Smith Rowe will get his run, and he'll get goals, and we're gonna have a good problem on our hands, which is saying who do we play out of those 3, 4?
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because Smith Rowe seems to have this role in recent months where he's coming off the bench, right? And it's been really successful, where he's obviously seems to be popping up with a goal every time he comes on and is making an impact. So it will be interesting to see how Arteta uses him. I'll be keen to see this like the 4-3-3 option for I don't know. I was going to say Leeds at home, but I guess that situation has changed now with their manager changing, and it's not being Bielsa anymore. But a kind of game where we're expected to go and kind of smash a team.
You mean a 4-3-3 with Smith Rowe in midfield?
Yeah,
Smith Rowe and Ødegaard in midfield, and then Well, yeah. There's a few options there, right? But I'd be keen to see that in a game. This is the thing, right? I guess at this stage of the season, there's no game that you're kind of expected to win comfortably.
Results,
but But it would be nice to see that and see kind of how they all play together. I think it's happened a couple of times, but yeah, I pretty much agree with what Aaron said, to be honest. Yeah.
And Saka was, he himself was incredible today. I think he got man of the match. But one thing I wanted to ask you guys was, because I know in the group we're getting very hyped up, etc., etc. Is it still a case though where these guys need to, it's all well and good. I'm playing devil's advocate here, but it's all well and good. It's Watford, and they've got the caliber of some of their players, are the caliber in which it might allow some of our attacking players to do some incredible things like they did today. In your point of view, are they as good as they looked today against Watford, or in terms of if we were playing let's just say we've got Liverpool and we've got Leicester, Liverpool, Villa coming up. I mean, do you expect them to be able to put the same level of performances against those guys?
Go on, Aaron.
That's a good question. I don't really know. Are they as good as we think they are? I think Saka and Odegaard right now is top quality. And there was some discussion on social media, and maybe this is one to discuss now, which is outside of like players from Man City and Liverpool, how many players would you trade for Ødegaard and Saka? Like, if you could have any other player that you had to give up Ødegaard or give up Saka, who would you trade them for? And
well, you guys know my feelings about Saka, right?
Yeah,
it's a really
750 million or something, right?
It's a hard question, because you've got to take into account the fact that how important they are for us. Therefore, it's a bit it's skewed. It's
well, I think the other thing was like people were saying like actually, even if you look at players like Salah or De Bruyne or Mane, like they're in their late 20s, early 30s. So would you really trade a?
Oh no! In that context,
right
no.
Now,
absolutely not.
We can get
no way.
2 years, right? And I'm sure Salah is world class, right? But would you rather have Salah for 2 years, maybe even arguing like on his way down, or like at least at his peak, or would you have an improving Saka or an improving Ødegaard for the next 8 to 10 years?
I think De Bruyne is a bit of a
because he's still quite young, isn't he?
I think De Bruyne is De Bruyne. Like,
I consider
I think
De Bruyne the original question, which was like even outside of the top two, there aren't many players, and maybe this is us getting carried away just after we've won 4 in a row, but there aren't many players in the world that I would trade for those two. So are they as good as we think they are? I think yeah, they are. I think they would. I reckon like fans of other teams were watching that game today and watching those 3 goals, and I think a lot of them were like, "Wow, this is very, very impressive."
I think to add to that, like I pretty much agree. I mean, I think like comparing them to other players in the world. I know I was thinking of some names. There's probably a few names that if I thought about it hard enough, that I'd be like, very strongly considered to
Okay,
swap.
outside of those like the Haalands and Mbappe's of the
Yeah,
world,
okay,
right?
fine. Okay, yeah.
I love how you're continuously
yeah.
conditioning your question. It's like, okay, except that guy then.
Yeah, we've got to be realistic.
Yeah. I think I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair. And I think that, listen, to be honest, right? Just forget our opinion. Just look at what the table says. Right, we're pretty close to Chelsea in third, and you know we're talking about Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City are incredible teams who compete for the Champions League. So you're talking about teams that dine at the top table, right? Like, and you know we're doing pretty well. These guys are seriously impressive. I think if you asked, I'd go as far to say, Liverpool fan. If you ask a Liverpool fan right now, like, would they want Saka in their squad? Would they want Ødegaard in their squad? Would probably say yes, given the age, right? As well, given like kind of the direction, etc. So these are players I think that now they're at that level where they can play for the very best teams.
I agree with you on Saka. I think every person I speak to, every mate I've got in football fan, they all love Saka. Maybe because he's English as well, whatever. He's a very likable kind of player. I don't think they say that about Ødegaard. A lot of people that I speak to don't watch him enough. It's kind of what I said before, right? Like, stats wise, people love to look at stats. He doesn't have the numbers backing his performances yet. And I think also, unless you watch him for 90 minutes, you don't really appreciate him completely.
No, I agree.
And I think that a lot of fans just see results, they see like whatever, and I've had people ask me, say, like, well, what does he actually do? Like, and they just don't watch him closely enough. Watch him a match of the day, and that's it. So yeah.
I'm going to move on from this because I think there's a few more things that I think would be really good to talk about, and we probably don't have 2 hours. So, and I think we're going to talk about this. The more and more we win games, the more and more this discussion is going to happen, right? Like, because ultimately those players are going to be crucial to any good thing that we do. But let's talk about like maybe some of the things that didn't go well today, because we did concede 2 goals against Watford. The first, it was an incredible finish. It was an incredible overhead kick, but still, whatever the case, defensively, I personally didn't believe it was a very assured performance. And we've had many times this season where our defense has bailed out our attack. And today it was the opposite to me. That's what it felt like anyway. I mean, Aaron, and what did you think about the defensive display on a whole? And, if you want to kind of reference some of the goals in that, but if not, feel free. I mean, what was your assessment?
So the kind of takeaway that I got from it was almost like, I think Arteta even got a bit carried away towards the end. Like, because, back, I think 4 or 5 games ago when if we went 3-1 up, Arteta would bring on like El Neni, or he'd bring on, someone to like, or even bring on Rob Holding to be like, right, that's enough. This is good. But we were playing so well at that point. He was just like, yeah, I'm going to bring on Pepe. I'm going to bring on Eddie and Catio. We're going to score more goals. We're going to go 4, 5, 6. And then they scored. And then like, I think I told you guys that he's going to bring on Holding straight away. And then he was just like, crap, I've got to calm down now. Like, let's bring on Holding back to like, what was I thinking? Let's not get carried away. And so the way I've always looked at us, and like before today, was we are traditionally a bit more of a defense first team, that once we have that solid defense, we then build an attack around that defense to say, this is how we will defend. And then we will do our best outside of that to score goals. But what it felt like today was it was the other way around. We're going to attack, and we'll figure out defending.
This is Wenger years throwback, is it?
Yeah. And I was really surprised because that's so unlike Mikel Arteta. And I think he commented after in the post match that he wasn't very happy with the way we played in terms of how we set up. And I saw a few journalists saying that he was constantly having a go at like Gabriel and Ødegaard for some reason in terms of our stability and structure. And the one thing I noticed, which was very different, was Xhaka's positioning throughout the game was just like, I'm not tactical enough to figure out exactly what he was doing, but it just didn't look right to me because he was playing quite far forward. And then when he did get back, he was quite clumsy at times. And I think actually for both goals, you could probably argue he had a role to play, because that first one, he was on the left side and he let the runner, I can't remember who put the cross in, but pull the overlap in. And then the second goal, Myers, I think you pointed out in our chat that he gave the ball away before by playing a crazy like cross.
Yeah, it's just really
pass.
unnecessary ball.
So So yeah, I don't think the back four themselves were pretty poor. I think Cedric was, a bit up and down in terms of like he gave the ball away, but I thought generally they were okay. But just the structure of the team, the setup of the team, we just looked really, really open, and that was a bit concerning because Dennis had a couple of good chances.
Yeah.
You could argue they probably had more chances than we did overall. We had some kind of better quality ones and maybe some decent openings, but they could have easily come away with that game with a point.
Yeah, the stats suggest that actually we had more shots, but I would agree with you that it felt like if we think about the good chances outside of the goals, the good chances, it felt like they did fall to Watford. And a lot was made on when people were analysing the game in the background, a lot was made about the success that Watford seemed to have coming down our left-hand side. So that's Tierney's side.
Mm.
Now, I know you've got some thoughts on him defensively. That just one thing I'd like to throw in there. A number of people have also commented, I saw through Twitter, that actually it's a bit of a red herring that the issues are coming down the left-hand side to point at Tierney. Actually, it's because of the instability that taking Tomiyasu out of the team and replacing Tomiyasu with Cedric. There's a kind of like a knock-on effect there around how everyone has to position themselves and everyone has to play, because Cedric is he gets forward more. Tomiyasu is more kind of, he sits back more, and that has a knock-on effect to the left-hand side. Yeah. So just throwing that in there. I mean, do you think that there is something of a concern at all around that left-hand side, or or any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, like you touched on, right? I've said it before, I think, to you guys. Like, I love Kieran Tierney, as every Arsenal fan does, and everything about him, the passion that he shows. He's great going forward, the crossing, all of that. I love all of it. I do feel like he is a bit susceptible at the back. I feel like one-on-one against a good quality like attacking player or winger, I think he gets done more often than we realize or we actually take notice of. And I think he kind of gets away with it a little bit because he's Kieran Tierney, because he's a very liked player, because he's this like Scottish hard man kind of thing and all of that. And he obviously, like I said, gives us a lot going forward. I'm not saying that necessarily happened today, and I wouldn't really I don't think I've watched like enough of the like post-match stuff or had a look at the game since the game finished to understand why specifically the left-hand side was like a problem for us. That point you made about Cedric's quite interesting, because I haven't seen any of that, so I hadn't really considered that. But yeah, like I think that's just more of a general thing with Tierney. Like I do feel like he doesn't close down crosses quickly enough, and yeah, I think he can get beaten quite a lot. I think we haven't seen it so much purely because of the quality of play that he's come against, like in the last couple of games. So it's a slight concern, but it's not a massive. It's not like I'm saying I'd want like Tavares to come into the team, for example. It's not that kind of level. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. The other defensive kind of problem, I guess you could say, I saw today was Ramsdale was a bit iffy today as well. Distribution and kind of decision making was a bit dodgy, which I guess I think the way that he started his season when he came into the team and how good he's been, I think it was kind of like normal and natural based on his experience level and his age. He's still kind of, he's very, very, very young for a Premier League goalkeeper, right? Starting at a big club. So you kind of forgive him for that, and I'm sure that will all get addressed as part of his kind of development. It just hopefully sort of doesn't cost us. It hasn't cost us yet. But yeah, that was another thing that obviously everyone picked up on, and yeah, I'm sure he's aware of it. So
I agree with his distribution there were a couple of instances where he made a poor execution of a pass and it nearly cost us. But Aaron, and when you look at some of the other goalkeepers, the top ball playing goalkeepers in the Premier League, and I'm thinking about Alisson and Ederson, it's something that often in games they have blunders, they have errors. Is it something that we just have
reward, right?
Yeah, and is that it? Does it come down to that? Do you think that we just as Arsenal fans need to accept that if we're going to have a keeper who plays, who plays with his feet the way that Aaron Ramsdale does and is actually really effective at doing it, do we have to accept that sometimes these games are going to happen and we can't get too concerned about it?
Yeah, I mean, if he's doing it every game, and there was that moment where I think he came out and I think he gave the ball away, and He was way off his line, and thankfully Watford couldn't take advantage. I mean, if he's doing that every game, then I think someone might need to have a word. But yeah, on average, this is a guy who, it's almost like if you've got a number 10 in your team, you don't want him playing the simple, easy passes all the time. You want him playing those risky through balls that, 60-70% of the time don't make it to their man. But when it does make it to their man, then they're through on goal. It's that kind of thing that you want. You want a goalkeeper to figure out, when can I take a risk? When can I play a short pass? And when do I go long? When do I, try and play out from the back? And you need someone at this level who can kind of do everything, because it's not just, you have a game where you try and build up from the back, but there are going to be situations in the game where actually you're under the cosh and you say, right, I'm just going to go long for the next 10 minutes. And you need someone who can kick long. Or say, like, okay, they're throwing crosses in the box. I'm going to need to come out and deal with these crosses. So, I mean, look, I think he has got a bit lucky that we haven't really been punished too far. Although, I mean, like, you look against Wolves, I know that wasn't really Ramsdale era, but we looked a bit silly then when he came, when he couldn't really deal with what happened there. So he will make mistakes. I think it's just a question of, at some point, we'll say, is this too much? But I don't think we're anywhere near that point yet.
Yeah, agreed. Now I want to move on from the game to look at some of the kind of bigger picture items. But there is one thing. Literally, someone did actually message me about this to ask that we cover it in the pod. So I might as well put it on the spot and direct it to you.
Okay.
Why is it that we wore red shorts today?
I haven't got a clue. I literally got in the door. Normally my pre-match thing is, checking Twitter, messaging you guys. I was out all day and I got in the door at like 1:59 p.m. and ran to the TV. So I have no idea. I just literally saw wearing red shorts.
But because someone did point out that apparently the reverse fixture, we wore our home kit and Watford just wore their home kit.
So furthermore, the other thing that has come out is usually the officials have the right to ask a team to wear a different kind of, wear an alternative color because it might clash with something, but that didn't happen today. So apparently Arsenal requested that they wear red shorts today.
No way.
Yeah,
really?
So the referees didn't ask for it. The Arsenal requested it and it was approved.
We don't even have red shorts, right?
I think we've played. No, we have. We've played this before.
Maybe there's a merchandise drop happening tomorrow. Some red shorts.
In our three kits, obviously it's red and white. Yeah, as in white shorts for the home, and everything else is different color, like blue and what's the other color? Yellow, is it? No, I don't even know what the other color is. But the three kits, I'm saying red is like a special. To have red shorts today,
It's right, but we have done it before.
Yeah, we've done it,
but it's random stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it is. You're right. But it's usually because there's a clash of some sort. So the rule is, if the referees think that there's a clash between the other team or the officials, exactly.
Watford shorts are black, right?
Yeah.
So wait, hang on, mate. This is the kind of thing that you normally like.
No, I'm a bit sad. I don't know the answer to this.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, look, Jeff, who is the person who requested we cover this, I'm really sorry that we couldn't give you a better answer, Jeff.
It's our first question ever come in, isn't it?
I'm never going to send in a question ever again.
So sorry, Jeff. Look, but obviously Jeff is an Arsenal fan, and just like the rest of us Arsenal fans, the table looks even more interesting today, right? Because as much as it is, I think, and I'm sure Arteta's saying this to the boys, right? It's all about us. It's all about our results. Focus on ourselves. Get the doubles or whatever. Whatever said and done, the results of our direct rivals for this fourth place, those results are arguably just as important, right? Like, when it comes to the maths. And today was another example where one of our very kind of, if you kind of look at the, who I would consider anyway, and get to get your thoughts about this as well. But for me now, it's that fourth spot is between Arsenal, Man United, and Tottenham for me now. I think
you'll put West Ham in there.
I don't. I'm looking at it now. Look, West Ham have got 28. They played 28 games. Arsenal played 25 games, and West Ham have got 3 points less than Arsenal. I can't see West Ham. For West Ham to finish in the top four now, it requires so many teams to screw it up, basically, and it requires them to have a great kind of patch, and they've got some difficult games as well. So listen, I guess, like, aside from that, my point really was the table suddenly looks even better than it does last. Not suddenly, it looks even better. But from a literal perspective, we've moved up to fourth. So it's the first time we've been fourth in 2 months, apparently. And it looks interesting, doesn't it? Man United lost today, Man City. I think we thought that was, I think everyone thought that probably was going to happen, but it did happen. They actually got like pretty spanked. Now, what do you guys think? Not just from the fact that Man United got beaten, but from the manner they got beaten, are you looking at them in any different way than you were before today in terms of their challenging for us, for that spot? Or no?
Not really. No, I think I know that City slipped up against Spurs a couple of weeks ago. But Man City, right? They're just a machine, and it doesn't matter. There was a Manchester derby or whatever. Like they just tend to steamroll teams in the Premier League. They smashed us at the Etihad right at the start of the season. It's not like we're a bad team. So yeah, and I'm not really surprised at the result. I don't think anyone is, to be honest. Man United are in a bit of a weird I don't know what, like a weird stage in terms of like them as a club and them as a team. No permanent manager, all of that. So, but at the end of the day, and I think it changes my kind of perception of Man United in terms of how I think they'll do for the rest of the season, because I've kept saying it. Like, they've got so many good players, even though they don't have a way of playing, and their team sort of seems to be in, I wouldn't say disarray, that's not the right word, but it's a little bit all over the place, isn't it? And you don't really know what's going on with them at the moment, but they will still pick up results. They've still got players that will get them wins and get them goals. So yeah, I probably agree with you, Raj. Like, I hadn't looked at the tables really, really closely, but yeah, when you look at where West Ham are, I think it's going to be a pretty tough ask for them. Man United, I think will be there. And yeah, probably Tottenham, but Tottenham are the ones that I feel like are more likely to fall away than Man United.
Oh, really? Okay.
I would say so. Yeah.
I was saying the one team I'm still like the most worried about is Spurs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Me too, actually.
Although Man United, I'm with you, Miles. I think Man United have enough individual quality. On any day, Ronaldo could turn up and win them a game single-handedly. They've got players like Sancho, Pogba, Fernandes, and all of the. And maybe that's Man United's problem, which is on any random given day, they all turn up. Right. The problem is figuring out when they turn up and when they don't turn up, and how to get them all to turn up at the same time. But Spurs, I don't know. I think Spurs, Conte, they just, I think they've got enough as well. Maybe they've got a much more they've got a plan, right? Their thing is Son and Kane. And I know Kulusevski's come in now, but I still think their plan is Son and Kane. It's a very good plan, and it will work more days than it doesn't work. And that's what I really worry about. I think the thing I worry about more is us and our ability to just get through this, because I know we're fourth now, but I think one of you guys said we have 13 games left, right? Like, that's a long time. And we mentioned this earlier, but one injury and we could crumble very, very quickly.
We put ourselves in a situation though, right, where ultimately, yes, you're right, we have the capability of losing a number of games. But we've sort of put ourselves in a situation where other teams still have to take advantage of that, and other teams still have got tough games. And it's a bit frustrating that our games against, for example, Tottenham and Chelsea haven't been scheduled yet, so we don't know when they are. And there's a big theory that the studios are there trying to pluck a date that looks good in terms of kind of drama.
Yeah.
But there are some other teams who haven't got games. I think I want to say Spurs Liverpool hasn't been scheduled yet either. Like, there are some tough games here and there. I just very quickly want to touch on something about Man United, because I think you guys are right in the sense that I think, when Man United played us, it was a very good example of how, at the end of the day, I think Rangnick had just come in, or was just about to come in. I think he hadn't quite come in yet. I think, was it Fletcher or Carrick or whoever it was Carrick was there. So it was basically like, as far as a plan goes, it probably wasn't that much. But, when you've got that kind of talent on the pitch, then they can kind of just, someone can do something brilliant and you can still win games. So my concern was actually that what happened against us could just happen way more regularly, regardless of whether they had a plan. But what do you guys think about all these rumors, reports that there's all kinds of dressing room unrest going on at United, because surely if something's going to affect the ability for individual players to do something, it's dressing room unrest, right? Like we're seeing today one of those players that I think we're referring to, Cristiano Ronaldo, some of that, unique individual talent. Allegedly, Rangnick saying that he was injured and he's dropped. His sisters apparently on social media come out and said, no, absolutely, he's not injured. He was available to play. Rangnick's dropped him. This is a disgrace. There's all these other things that are going on in the background, apparently, about how he is trying to almost lead a tactical kind of revolt behind the scenes about playing two up top. And there's apparently issues with Maguire's captaincy and Ronaldo, having issues with that and all kinds of, could that be their downfall?
Maybe. I think with Man United I honestly think they just need to start again with their team, but they'll never do it.
They spent 1.2 billion over 10 years.
And they've just done it wrong. Again. Yeah. No, this is the thing. They basically need to do what we did and have 2 or 3 really bad seasons where they realize that this isn't working.
Wasn't that Solskjaer though? Wasn't that Solskjaer? Wasn't that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But they did that. Maybe they've done that bit, but they still haven't been like, okay, we need to start again. And
I agree with you, but I'm sort of looking. I'm playing devil's advocate
because there were times where, remember, I'm sure we've come in and said it, and we're like, when we've had like some of those big losses, and we were like, you know what, we just need to sell like all of these players. And like, funnily enough, that's pretty much what we did. Right?
Yeah. Well, we did too. Exactly.
We did it. Sold all of our players. And I think Man United just basically need to sell. I look at their team and I think, how many of that is starting 11 today? I know they had a couple of injuries, but how many of those do Man United, forget about what we think, how many of those do Man United fans think they can rely on for the next 5 years?
Oh, like hardly any.
Maybe Sancho. Like, you've got Cavani who can play, but De Gea is like in and out of form. Like Cavani who can, they sign so many. They basically did what we did, which was like when we signed Willian. They make so many short-term signings. Like Cavani can play like once every other game. Ronaldo can play like 2 or 3 games and then needs a rest. Pogba turns up when he wants. Their defense is just like very, very average. De Gea picks and chooses when he wants to turn up and like goes from world class to terrible.
He might be injured after today, by the way.
Yeah,
De Gea. So I don't know if you saw on the 4th goal. I think he turned his ankle. I don't know if he was play acting, but it looked like it was painful. But anyway, carry on. Sorry.
I just think I think Man United can still keep doing what they're doing. They could probably get another 4th place here and there, but they'll never go on beyond that 4th place and be able to really challenge City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, which is what they really want to do and what they should be doing, given how much they've spent, unless they actually just rip it up and start again, because they keep doing these incremental fixes, and there's just they're just a bit broken, I think.
I was going to ask you then. So, do you think that, based on everything you said, and kind of just like trashed Man United, and I hope loads of Man United fans listening to this, all our mates who've got Man United fans, hopefully listening to this and start messaging you. But separate to that, do you does that? So, based on what you're saying, then, are you saying that if we don't finish above Man United, we've failed this season?
No, because I think my point is Man United they've spent so much money that eventually they could just get lucky, and for 7 or 8 crucial games, they could turn up. Those players could turn up. But I think my point is, I don't see them ever finishing higher than 4th if they carry on like this. Like at their peak, when everything goes well, they spent £1 billion.
1.2
billion pounds. They will finish 4th. And if that's okay for them, then fine. But I think Man United fans will probably tell you that they want more. And the only way they will get more is if they really like start again, and they don't have to do what we're doing with young players, but they have to go and say, right, these are the 3 players we want to build around, and we want to get players in to complement them. What they shouldn't be doing is, chasing Sancho for a year and a half, and then not playing him for half a season when they get him, and playing Ronaldo because City wanted him, and getting Cavani in because they had no strikers, and then he's not fully able to lead the line for a whole season. So as much as we have been through some difficult times, I can see the tough decisions we've made and some of these long-term decisions actually now starting to pay off. So yeah, I think I hope they don't do this because the longer they don't go fixing it, the better it is for us. But no, but you're right. I think to go back to your question, wise, I would be disappointed if we finished below Man United because of, even though I do think they could finish fourth, I still think we've got better. We're a better team than they are. Honestly, I do think that.
Yeah.
And next game week is going to be another one, which is going to tell us, every week's going to have talking points. Next weekend's going to be really interesting because we now come into a little period where we've got three, I reckon, tough games. There's one that is obviously the hardest out of the three, but we're about to play Leicester next week. After that, we play Liverpool at home in a midweek fixture, and then we go away to Villa. This weekend, though, when we're playing Leicester, United are also playing Spurs. So let's ignore us for a second. But someone's losing out there. One of these rivals is losing out there, and I guess from an Arsenal perspective, what is it, guys? I know we discussed this before. Do we want to draw out that game? Do we want to, and I guess it comes down to, is there one of those two teams that we are fundamentally more scared of, and therefore do we actually just want one to beat the other one?
I think I think from a maths point of view, I think a draw is better because you get both teams dropping 2 points, right? Which is good. But then who am I scared of more? I still say if Man United beat Tottenham, I wouldn't be too upset by that. Because I think actually it might, you could argue both ways actually. Like a defeat for either of those teams then could have some big consequences in terms of the wider context of their season.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I guess, I don't know when Man United play Champions League, but maybe Man United might be out the Champions League by then. So then if they lose that, then that's a big blow to their season. Spurs, they just seem to drop points here and there quite regularly. And, I think the worry there is that if they win, then that's a little bit of momentum for them. And actually, we're probably better off with them we'll just keep going with this stop-start where they just continue to doubt themselves, and Conte will just continue to trust Spurs every interview he does.
Yeah.
So I think the best outcome is a draw, but I wouldn't be too upset with a Man United win.
Yeah, so I'm the same. I'm actually veering now. Yeah, when I was thinking about this through before the pod, I'm actually veering to hoping that United win. And part of the reason for that is I think if Spurs win, but let's just say even if they draw, their next three fixtures could get quite interesting for them and actually could bring them a lot of momentum because they've got, after playing United, the next game midweek when we play Liverpool, they're away at Brighton, which usually that would be a tough game, I think. But Brighton have just lost 4 in a row and they're playing Liverpool next. So they very well could be playing Brighton after Brighton have lost 5 games in a row. So they're playing Brighton at a pretty damn good time. And then after that, Spurs have got West Ham at home. So if they come out of these 3 fixtures getting, points off, getting points off United, beating Brighton and then beating West Ham at home, that I think could put a lot of pressure on us regardless of how we do in our next 3 games.
Yeah, I think especially when you put it like that, I think draw or Man United win or Spurs winning is probably the least favourable outcome for us, I think. What do you think, Miles?
Yeah, obviously draw would be the best result for us. I mean, for me, I am more fearful of United for the rest of this season compared to Spurs. I think, if Spurs do go and win, I think it's at Old Trafford, it potentially gives them some momentum, but then they win it. Then again, they beat City away and then they win and lost. I think they lost the next game to Burnley, right? And the whole Conte thing is just really who the hell knows what's going to happen with them, based on whatever result they get game to game. Literally, you just don't know. You wouldn't be surprised if they lose a game they're supposed to win and he just walks out or whatever. You genuinely don't know, right? And I think that that potentially might be their downfall this season, just the inconsistency in results and kind of reaction to results as well.
Do you not think Man United are equally as inconsistent?
I think they are, but I think they've got better quality players that are more likely to get them results between now and the end of the season. I don't think they've got they've played 3 games more than us, and I know that they're a point off us. So you could argue that, we've got those games in hand, but I'm not even looking at those games in hand, not even because of who we've got. Like depending on how you judge it and how you can cut it different ways and say the 3 games in hand are the 3 games that, the Chelsea game, the Liverpool game, the Spurs game, or you could say, well, not really, because it doesn't
really matter.
It doesn't really matter, exactly, right? So, despite the 3 games in hand, I just feel like if we do slip up, I don't know. I feel like Man United they've got a lot of kind of experience in their team in terms of like high quality, good players that have won things, and Ronaldo as well. That factor, like, who knows, he could go on a crazy run and sort of score, winners in the last minute in a number of their games. That's the kind of thing I'm a bit worried about with them. Yeah, and so I think it's so hard now. Like we're like Roger, we're kind of forecasting the next few games and saying if the Spurs do this, then this happens. It's just like it's literally impossible, isn't it? It's so hard, right? Like
still so many games as well. Right?
There
13 games left for us. Is basically almost a third of a season.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah, it is, yeah. So, well, for us, it is, yeah. So, I think we just have to keep on doing what we're doing, right? And let everyone else beat each other. And in the games, it might come down. I mean, like, I do feel like it's going to come down to, like, if we're smart about this, right? And we just, obviously to say, right, if we keep kind of getting these results against the teams that we should be beating and kind of winning our home games, when it comes to those 6-pointers, we hopefully won't need to win them. I think we said this right last time round. Like, we hopefully won't necessarily need to win them if we've got enough of a buffer between us and the others. I hope that, like, by the time we come around to playing Spurs, we've just been so consistent that we won't even have to go there and necessarily win. It will just be like draw, keep the gap the same as it is, and go move on to the next game type of thing. And that would be a dream scenario. Obviously, it's not going to work out like that, but.
Well, let's put the spotlight back on us though, right? So we've got Leicester coming up next, and Leicester, it's very weird again to judge where Leicester really are right now. The table says Leicester are 12th. By the standards that Leicester have set themselves, that's pretty bad. But like us, they've not played that many games compared to other teams. They've played 25 games as well. They've also won their last 2 games, so they're sort of in a
Vardy's back place now as well, isn't he? So.
Vardy's back. I think is Fofana back as well. I think he might be.
Okay.
And Vardy's got a great record against us. What do you guys think? Arsenal are at home. We beat Leicester away from home earlier this season, where I think it was a really good performance. I remember at that time of the season, we went 2-0 up quite early and managed the game well. It was that Ramsdale wonder save from that free kick. What's your feeling, guys? What do you think? I mean, it's nice to have a week and not have a midweek game. It's nice to prepare for that. Where's your confidence level lies? I'll go to you first, Miles. How do you feel about that game?
To be honest, I'm pretty confident. I can't see us. I can't see us slip. I'm struggling to say it. I can't see us slipping up in the sense that we've got a pretty much a full strength squad at the moment. Tomiyasu and Smith Rowe aside. Smith Rowe should be back because he was out with COVID today, right? Potentially Tomiyasu back. I don't know what's going on with him at the moment. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty much a full strength team. There's not really too many injury concerns, and even the main one that we have, Tomiyasu, Cedric seems to be doing okay at the moment. So I'm kind of looking at it from we're going into this like off the back of 4 wins, majority of our players fit, a home game. Leicester, it's like you say, it's quite hard to judge where they are. They will be very, very much up for this game. Vardy always scores against us. He loves scoring against us. There's that factor as well. But I just feel like, I don't know. I do feel like we'll just somehow get a win. I'm not saying it's going to be pretty and we're going to kind of play how we play today going forward. But I feel like this team is just going quite literally from strength to strength. And, the confidence from each win seems to be going into the next game. And but based on that, I can't really predict anything else than a win. And obviously it doesn't work like that. There probably are going to be days where we turn up and, the performance isn't quite at that level and maybe we'll get punished. And I think that is going to happen between now and the end of the season. But I don't think that will happen on Sunday. And I think we'll win again. I think it will be like quite a tight win. And yeah, but I think like the front three, the front four playing so well at the moment. Like, yeah, they could just pretty much take apart anyone. So I go into it with full confidence, and I think I think we'll win by like the odd goal.
What do you think, Aaron? And do you agree?
I am confident. That's a bit worrying where I'm confident, because usually when I think we'll win, we never do.
Well, we're Liverpool have won 5 games out of 5. Outside of that, there are 2 teams who have won 4 and drawn 1. We're one of them. Do you know who the other team is, by the way?
Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle.
Newcastle. Oh, wow.
They're the other form team.
It,
but yeah, we've won 4 in a row. Yeah, so I mean, back to you, Aaron, and maybe you've got every right to feel.
I think it's just us. I think we can never really be fully on board until it's done, right? Because we've seen how we find unique ways of blowing things when we're like, we think it's there. But no, I am confident because it's a home game, and I think our home form this season has been really, really good. And even when City came to us, we gave them a game.
Yeah.
So I'm very confident that we will have a plan for Leicester. I think we will try our best to execute it, and I think now we've got the talent to actually finish some of those chances. I think, even if we played that game against City over Christmas and we played it now, I think we probably put away some of those chances and we give them a better game. So, I think the Leicester game is one I think we'll win. And then I think that will go to, and I think you might have said this last week, Raj, that almost makes the Liverpool game a bit of a free hit.
Yeah.
In that sense, which is actually, okay, well, we're probably not going to win. And so let's see what we can get. Let's see what happens. If we get a draw, then happy days. And that's like one of our games in hand. So we probably stretch our lead a bit.
I don't think we'll. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think Arteta. I mean, obviously, he's not going to go into the game looking for a draw. But I really don't think we'll come out playing like that in that Liverpool game. Assuming that, again, kind of clean bill of health and all of that. I can see us really taking the game to Liverpool.
Oh, you think?
I think so. I think the Emirates. Yeah, we're obviously at home. The Emirates is just going to be absolutely raucous. I mean, I know we're previewing, like talking about a game that we're not ready to talk about yet. But yeah, I can see. I don't think it's going to be like, we're saying free hit, and okay, on paper it is a bit of a free hit, if assuming we beat Leicester. But yeah, I can see us potentially getting a result. I think we'll definitely play very, very well. Obviously Liverpool are really good, but yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, no, basically the way I look at that week is if we can come away with 6 points, having beaten Leicester and beating Villa, then that will be a good week. And then, like you said, Liverpool is Liverpool. Let's try and win. But if we lose that game 2-0, if we then go and beat Villa, then I'm happy.
We need to start, in my opinion, we do need to start going toe to toe with some of those big teams, and I think when we played Man City earlier on this year, we certainly did. So I think we should go out and with confidence. I think when I describe it as a free hit, I feel that's more from just a mental perspective of if we lose, it's not the be all and end all of anything, given the points that we've had. But one of the things that I'm intrigued with for this week, for the next game against Leicester, is I think it will tell us a lot about Arteta as a manager, because we conceded early against Wolves and it was a little bit sloppy. It was a mistake. It was a little bit sloppy or whatever. But today we were a bit sloppy, and Arteta at the end of the game, I think he said it in his press conference. He said that he was really impressed with the energy and the focus that we did on the attacking side, and he said, but it just wasn't there defensively. And I wonder, I think Miles, you said, he was kind of shouting instructions to Ødegaard and Gabriel during the game and stuff. I wonder whether he's actually, there's red flags in his head and he's going, hang on a minute, I really need to sort some shit out, because otherwise I've got Leicester, I've got Liverpool, I've got Villa. Those are teams that can punish me. And what I think will be interesting and a measure of him as a coach is there's a danger that, he could do too much to try and fix that. And he could kind of look at this and he kind of go, all right, well, crap, we need to change this, we need to change that, and do a bunch of things that then end up kind of stifling how we are going forward, might add a little bit of confusion, but I don't know. But it feels though, if we are able to go and play Leicester and put a really assured defensive performance and win, I think that'll say a lot about him as a coach in a really positive way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think. Yeah. So. I mean, I pretty much agree. I can't see him trying to change too much. Exactly what you said, Raj. Like, it wouldn't make sense. We generally this season we've been defensively pretty solid. There's been a few iffy moments in the last couple of games, but you look at the season as a whole, aside from a couple of like really bad results against like City and Liverpool, overall defensively we've been really good, up there with number of clean sheets and all the rest of it. So yeah, I can't see him changing too much. Maybe it's just maybe it's just more of a tweaking thing. Kind of directing the players in the right way when it comes to like decision making, that kind of thing. Like Ramsdale probably needs a little bit of a pointer with that. And again, like it comes down to the age of the players. Again, like we forget it because they're winning, won 4 on the bounce and doing so well this season. But that back line, take Cedric out of it. It's, I don't know what the average age is, but it's early 20s, right? So you've got to expect mistakes. You've got to expect the odd lapses in concentration, or however you want to put it. So I think it's completely normal. Hopefully it doesn't like cost us where we can't come back into a game if we do concede early, or it comes very, very, very late in the game, we end up dropping points. But yeah, I'm not overly concerned. Like I say, the wins, the fact that we're still winning games, it must seriously create like that mentality it creates, and that kind of steel it creates. Even though we conceded 2 today, the steel it must create within the team as a whole and the group as a whole. They come in tomorrow morning, the training ground, and that kind of it's like, okay, we won again kind of thing, and that buoyancy they get from it, like that must be massive going into the next game. And so maybe it's just a couple of kind of tactical tweaks, and maybe a couple of okay, pull Ben White aside and talk to him like about whatever, that kind of thing. But I don't think anything major.
I think he'll just tell Xhaka to like just chill out and sit back a bit.
I thought you were going to say he's going to tell Xhaka to like fuck off.
He might do, but no, I think whatever's like, we're not super like in-depth tactical experts, but whatever he was doing today, it just looked like he was almost playing as a bit like a number 8 in that sense, where he's attacking, trying to build up play and play a bigger role in the attacks. I think what he might do is say, actually, you just sit alongside Thomas Partey and just cover Kieran Tierney on that left-hand side and just don't, just sit. So it might be something as simple as that, which is right. Okay, well, against Watford, you can go up, but actually against Leicester and Liverpool, you sit back. Yeah.
Well, look, whatever he does, I hope he gets it right. And obviously it's a huge game. And I think, guys, we'll wrap it there today. It's always great to end the week with an Arsenal win, and we did that, and it looks good. And let's just cross everything that we can that it continues this way. But Aaron, it was good to have you back, my friend.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah. Did you enjoy did you get everything out that you wanted to? Is there anything that you wanted? Okay.
No, yeah, we explored most things.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really upset that I missed the Wolves one, because I prepared a lot for that one.
You could do a solo monologue like on your own,
a
separate
episode.
A week on. Yeah, separate
how
episode.
I feel about the Wolves game. But no, it's been good, and I will see you boys
Sunday, right?
Emirates on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait. All right, boys. Have a nice night. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. See you later.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.